Good evening, everyone, and welcome to ALLSET Workshops. I am so excited you are here. Say hello, introduce yourself, tell us your name and where you're from in the chat. We are going to use chat throughout our entire workshop this evening, sharing our insights, sharing wins. It's a great way to stay active and stay in what I call execution mode. So my goal for you is that this isn't just an entertaining, simple evening where you're passively receiving information, but that it's something that creates actual change in your life. And your part of that contract is that you are actively engaged as much as you're able to. I get it. I know you might still be in the clinic or at work or with kids or at soccer practice, but to the extent that you're able, the more you put into this, the more you will get out of that. And one of the ways that we do that is inside of the Zoom chat. So go ahead and say hello, tell us where you're from, maybe tell us a little bit about how you found ALLSET. I do try my very best to read the chats as we go through our evening here together. I also want to introduce you to Rachel. She just said hello from Rochester, Minnesota there in the Zoom chats. You can see her in the chat. Rachel is my director of communications. She is involved in all of my programs, Black Swan Real Estate, Freedom and Legacy, ALLSET. She's my right-hand woman. She's going to be very active in the chat tonight, making sure you have any resources that you need, staying engaged, answering questions. She's a huge part of our ALLSET workshops. We literally could not do it without her. So thank you so much, Rachel, for being here. Welcome to everyone who is coming in. Welcome, welcome. Attendance is picking up every second. So I'm just going to give another, say, 30 seconds or so before we get started here. Rachel will put our digital workbook in the Zoom chat. You've likely already received that in email, but if this is your very first time seeing it, that is a-okay. She's going to pop that into the Zoom chat. You can download that. Again, like I said just a minute ago, we're going to be very active during our workshop and we're going to be focusing on execution. So play along, do the guided prompts, be engaged in your workbook. If you're able to print it out, that's great so that you can use your good old-fashioned hand. There is something that is so ancient about our brain and our heart's connection to our hand and to hand journaling. I find that people get deeper insights that way. Popping it into the chat so that we're sharing it in community is a way to see and be seen. So the workbook is right there in the Zoom chat. We'll drop that in several more times throughout the next couple of minutes. Go ahead and grab it, download it, print it if you're able to. It's also in the emails that you've received, and we'll make sure that it's in the replay email as well. We are a couple of minutes after the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and officially get started. So welcome to everyone who is here. My name is Dr. Elaine Stageberg. Many of you know me through Black Swan Real Estate. That's a real estate private equity firm that my husband Nick and I run. And many of you have found me through webinars that we've put on through Black Swan Real Estate, or maybe you're an investor. I'm also a coach at Freedom and Legacy Blueprint. That's a coaching community that I founded several years ago. Really high impact community, really the joy of my life. And then now ALLSET Mastery. So that's the workshop that we're putting on tonight. I'm a Mayo Clinic trained psychiatrist, and you'll see that I bring so much of my training of understanding the human mind and the human heart and the therapy modalities. I bring that to the work here in ALLSET and really in all that I do. So welcome. I am glad you are here tonight. I want to make sure we are maximizing the use of the most precious resource that you have, which is your time, right? It's the only thing that once you spend it, you can't get it back. So we're going to spend a couple of hours together tonight talking about the ALLSET framework. It's likely different than other frameworks that you've heard. It's different than mindset. It's different than a productivity system. It really taps into all of the domains of who you are as a human and creating a life that's aligned with what it is that you really want. So I'm so glad you are here tonight. I'm going to pop up my slides here. Give me a second to get those up, and we will go ahead and get started. Here's this super fun countdown timer. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I created that in Claude AI. It took me about 60 seconds to put that together. So that was a new fun addition tonight. But let's go ahead and share our slides. There we go. Here we are in our ALLSET workshop. And again, I'm Elaine Stageberg. So glad to host you this evening. Hope we can create a lot of value together. So speaking of that countdown timer that I created in Claude. I had no training on that. I actually admittedly know very little about AI. Maybe a year ago, I was really abreast of AI, but AI moves so quickly that I took like a couple of months break. I was at the end of my pregnancy. I just had our 6th child. I was just more focused on getting things ready in the business for my maternity leave. And AI moves so quickly that even just like a couple of weeks, 6 weeks away from AI, by the time I came back to it, AI had advanced exponentially. But I participated in an AI course myself in the last couple of weeks. And in that course, in that workshop, that person had an AI countdown timer and I knew nothing about it. I literally just went into Claude and I said, take the first slide of my slides for my workshop tonight and overlay on top of it a countdown timer, say we will get started at 7 p.m. Central and have a countdown there. And it created it for me in 60 seconds. I didn't have to know anything about how this other person that I had seen created it. I just spoke to Claude, the same way I'm speaking to you, human to human, and it created that in 30 seconds flat. That's something that historically we might have created in Canva, or we might have Googled something, might have taken someone on my team maybe 20 or 30 minutes to put that together. And I share that story to say that in the world that we are living in, with this rapid pace of change, with AI literally changing every single day, just a couple of days ago, Claude came out with Fable. The US government shut it down within, I think, like 12 hours or less. The pace of change is extraordinary. And what that means is that information is becoming somewhat valueless. There's infinite information out there. Any of us can go to Claude, go to ChatGPT, go to Perplexity, any of these platforms, speak to it, just like a human. Tell me all about X. Teach me everything about Y. Pretend that I am trying to get a PhD in this and I want to know exactly what I need to know about this concept. Information is becoming somewhat valueless because it's ubiquitous, it's infinite. We can all access more information at our fingertips than most of humanity could with an entire lifetime dedicated to getting that information. And so what that means is that the skill that is priceless, is knowing how to operate our own human body, knowing how to operate our human mind, our human intelligence, our human intuition, our human heart, the things that AI can't touch, or at least they can't touch yet. Maybe as these models become more and more sophisticated, they'll keep pace with humans. But for now, this human body is the thing that separates us from Claude and everything else where we can just type and get all the information we want in the world. And that means that knowing how to run our human machine is the skill that is now completely priceless. So you can tell from my introduction, I'm a Mayo Clinic trained psychiatrist. Understanding the human mind and the human heart is something that has interested me, has been a professional passion of mine for decades. And it is the skill that is now priceless. It's always been valuable. Knowing how to manage our mind, knowing how to set goals, knowing how to create priorities, knowing how to manage our time, knowing how to lead, how to communicate. All of those things have always been valuable. And now they are priceless. And so in my teaching in ALLSET, we talk about 5 systems, the 5 systems of the human body, the human machine. I haven't ever found a framework outside of ALLSET that incorporates all 5. Many of you may have been exposed to mindset work, maybe some work that I've put out or another program or coaching program on our event. There's a lot of mindset chatter in common culture right now, talking about limiting beliefs and setting goals. But no one's really going beyond that. And I found that mindset is really just the tip of the iceberg, both in working with myself and with other high performers inside of my Freedom and Legacy coaching program, honing this craft, seeing the gaps, figuring out how do we help people maximize their human potential. And mindset was a part of it, but I found so often it fell flat. And so over the last several years, I've just chewed on this question of what is there after mindset? What do we do after we've worked through goal setting and visioning, and we've worked through some limiting beliefs, and we have some affirmations, and we're really thinking about, orienting our mind right. And then I developed ALLSET. ALLSET is 5 systems, and I believe that it incorporates everything that we have as humans: our skill set, our mindset, our heart set, our body set, and our soul set. And you don't have to have that memorized in just that one time that I rattle it off. Skill set, mindset, heart set, body set, soul set. you'll have it memorized by the time we finish up here tonight. When we think about these 5 working all together, sometimes I think of them as a circle. Sometimes I think of them as interlocked rings. Sometimes I think of them as like a triangle or a pyramid. These are the 5 systems that we, as the one operator, you as your human self, me as my human self, everyone listening here as your human self, you are the one operator of these 5 systems. And yet, what I have found time and time again is, first of all, no one can even name the 5 systems. They might have some nebulous idea of like, oh, I have, this part of my life is my career, and over here is my family and my hobbies, and maybe over here are the things that give me joy, but it's all fragmented. There's not one unifying system that brings it all together. So even knowing the 5 systems, even seeing how they relate to each other, puts you in the top 1% of people who understand this human machine that we're all operating. And there's no manual for it. There's very little education out there about how to optimize yourself as a human, how to show up in the world aligned with your soul set, with who it is that you actually want to be, what you actually want to do with this one precious life, with these days that are never guaranteed, right? Every single day is a gift. How you effectuate that soul set in the world through the skill set that you need, and not the skill set that everybody else wants from you. Not the skill set of just the things you're good at or the things that make you money, but the things that are uniquely your zone of genius, the things that you can do that you put relatively little effort into because you have some magic touch to it, maybe some nature, maybe some nurture, but there's something about when you interact in your zone of genius, it's effortless for you, or it's relatively effortless, and you get an outsized return on investment. That's your zone of genius. That's skill set. And then having the mindset piece to believe in yourself and to blast through obstacles and to see paths that others haven't seen. And then to have the Heartset piece to feel the connection and to feel a sense of purpose, connection to yourself, connection to others. The whole point of being alive is to share it with ourselves and with other humans. And that's even more important now, again, in this world of AI, where we can all just go on Claude and talk to Claude all day and get what feels like our social needs met just chatting with AI all day. We need that Heartset piece to be connected to ourselves and to others. And then all of that wrapped inside of BODYSET, which is all about how you feel in the body. Yes, some of it is your nutrition and your hydration and your rest and your strength, but really it's about your energy, how you show up in your body. The example I love to give is someone could have a perfectly aligned mindset, maybe going into a tough negotiation. Maybe they've rehearsed it, they've thought it through, they believe in themselves, they've worked on some aspects of their skill set, so they feel like they're really skilled and ready for that negotiation. And yet if they go into it and they're nervous and their heart's pounding and they're distracted because of the nerves that are chattering, everything can fall apart so quickly. So that's just one of literally millions of examples I could give about BODYSET. Our body is what brings us into the world. Our mind and our heart lives inside of our body. And so BODYSET is really this kind of this cornerstone, this centerpiece of ALLSET that brings it all together. As you can tell, I am so passionate about this work. I hope that this little ramble that I've done here for the last several minutes has brought you value, has helped you to see what is this ALLSET thing, right? Maybe you signed up for this workshop because you found us on a Facebook ad or an email, or you came here from a referral from a friend. I see in our members tonight who are joining us, many of the people who are joining us for the workshop are already in what's called my ALLSET Mastery program. That's a monthly program where we dive into these systems and work on them in live calls. And they're coming back because they want to experience this workshop again, where we explore each of the domains. You're going to rate yourself of where you are right now in each of the domains, not from a place of judgment or being harsh on yourself, just a baseline, right? We can only manage what we first measure. So we're going to do some measurement tonight. We're going to go through some guided questions. Again, I want this to be an interactive, execution-based workshop for you, not just passively listening and being entertained. If that's what you want out of tonight, I'm happy to give it to you, and I believe that you will get tremendous value. But if you meet me halfway and you're engaged in the work and you're really thinking about how it applies to your specific life, you will leave with millions of dollars of value, right? If you think about all of the domains of your life: skill set, mindset, heart set, body set, soul set, your career, your health, your faith, your family, your hobbies, the things that you want to experience in life. If you have even 1% improvement in any of those domains, and then you compound that out over the coming decades, you could literally have millions of dollars of value from the introspection and the activities and the coaching we're going to do tonight. That's my commitment to you. That's what fires me up. I just had my 6th baby Elizabeth. She's 5 weeks old tomorrow, which is impossible to believe. Super exciting, but also heartbreaking. If you've ever, had a baby in your life, you know what I mean by that. And people might say, oh my gosh, what are you doing running this workshop? You have a 5-week-old baby at home and then 5 other children on top of that. It's because this is my soul set. This is my soul set. When we get to the soul set part, I'm going to talk about how do you know when something is your soul set? How do you know when something inside of your skill set is your zone of genius? It's because you love to do it. Nothing will keep you away from it. There's a sense of flow, a sense of excitement. You almost there's this like attraction to it, this magnetic energy to it. The ALLSET workshops are part of my zone of genius, part of my soul set. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to bring this joy that I have in the world to you. And I'm committed to creating a wonderful time for us tonight where you have millions of dollars of return on investment of the time that we're going to have here together. We're going to go about 2 hours total. So we're about 15 minutes into our 2-hour workshop tonight. If at any point you need to step away or you need to wrap up early, fear not. The replay is going to go out tomorrow. So our team will make sure that you have everything. But there really is something about that live energy, participating in the chat, being seen by your peers, sharing what's coming up for you, even when it's scary, sharing what's coming up for you when it's exciting. So please do stay active in that chat when I give you prompts for sharing. That really helps to drive the work home. That's based in neuroscience, that we are social creatures. And when we declare something out, it becomes so much more real. When we declare something inside of ourselves, that's a big step forward. But that's where limiting beliefs can creep in either tonight or tomorrow, or we just simply kind of get swept away into the to-do list of life and we've not had any real change. But when we declare something out to other humans, in our nervous system as social beings, we know that that is a deeper level of commitment. And we feel an internal sense, even if it's not in our conscious minds, we feel an internal sense in our subconscious minds or in our hearts to create that thing because we've made an identity declaration. I have said for years and years and years that as humans, we rarely make changes or decisions based on information. We sometimes make decisions based on emotion, but we almost always make our decisions based on identity. That's the part that's so core to us. And we're going to work on different aspects of your identity through the lens of the ALLSET framework and the 5 domains tonight. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. If you're excited, say, I'm excited in the chat. Be active, be engaged tonight. We're gonna have a really good time. Say, I'm excited in the chat. Let's get some energy going. So this is me, my wonderful husband, Nick. He's a huge part of what I do. This is a group of members of Freedom and Legacy, all of whom are also in ALLSET Mastery. A little bit on this slide about why I created ALLSET. I've already shared a lot of that with you. I've worked with high performers at every stage, going all the way back to my psychiatry training. During my psychiatry training, I really leaned heavily into learning therapy. Of course, as an MD, I know how to prescribe. I had to learn those pieces, but I just kept pushing my mentors. I want to learn more therapy. I want to do more therapy. Assign me more therapy patients. I want more what are called therapy supervisors, which is a senior psychiatrist who teaches you therapy. So all the way back then, and then building my real estate portfolio. Today, my husband Nick and I run Black Swan Living. We have over 100 full-time employees. Building that organization, learning and growing as a leader, as a communicator, having to cast a vision and then bring that vision to 100 other people so that we can create the vision together. Freedom and Legacy Blueprint, which is my high performer annual coaching program that I've run for the last several years. So working with high performers at every stage of growth and seeing that from the outside, life can look really successful and complete. Maybe you feel that, right? You have the white picket fence and the house and the degree and the car and the dog and the things that you're supposed to have. And that can bring a lot of joy. I don't want to diminish that. I don't want to say like, oh, woe is us, right? And our lives are so horrible. For most of you, if not all of you on this call, you are probably living a really amazing life, right? Objectively, if you have an internet connection and Zoom, you're in the top 1% of all humans that have ever existed, right? Like let's be so grateful for that. And yet, because no one ever really taught us how to run this human machine, there's this gap between what we've built and what we actually want or what we're actually feeling. And there's no shame toward that. You'll hear me say that so often in my teachings because I'm pushing people for expansion. I'm pushing people to say, where are you now? And what's the next level? And at times that can maybe bring up some feelings of maybe some inadequacy or some shame for people. And so I'm constantly saying, no, 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 no shame, no shame. Because as humans, when we feel shame, we contract, right? We say, this isn't for me. I don't belong. I have imposter syndrome. That expansion is for someone else, but not for me. None of that is true. You belong here. I want you to be here. You have something amazing in your life that you've created. And naturally, we just want the next level. We just want to have fulfillment and desire to live the life that we're creating and to do so by design and not by default. Because for so many of us, we show up, we do the things we need to do. That's the education, the career training, the career, the kids, the chores, the things we need to take care of in life. And we're just go, 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 go. And it may be midlife or later before we really take a breath and say, hold on, whose life am I living? Am I really truly living my own life? Or am I living the life that my mom wanted me to have, or my grandma wanted me to have, or my culture, or my faith, or my career, or was some, operating system installed in me by some boss years ago that has, colored my career for the past decade? And what we find is that for many of us, this is a common human experience, very common, like 95% plus. For many of us, we are running programs that were installed in us from people that we never consented to. We never consented to whatever early childhood influences were put on us by our parents, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles, our cousins. We never really consented to whatever was taught to us in our formal education, whatever we learned in what is called the hidden curriculum. We just showed up and we just said that this is what you need to do to have success. And you're likely very successful. And so the world rewards you with praise and awards and, oh my gosh, how do you do it all? And, oh, you're so successful. And wow, you have so much. And so then you become confused and you feel a little crazy of like, well, wait a second. I am successful. Yes, you are successful. Other people tell me I'm successful. I get the award. I get the promotion. I get the thing. And yet it feels like I'm just kind of showing up to a life that I never like agreed to this script. I never agreed to this director. I didn't even, sign up to star in this movie. And that's what taking a step back and looking at the 5 domains of your life really allows you. It allows you the opportunity to take everything that's magnificent in your life and put it into alignment. You get to decide the movie that you show up in. You get to decide the director, the script, the scenes. You get to decide all of that by design, not by default. And inside of ALLSET, you have these very discrete 5 domains that gives you the system, the operating system to build the life that feels as strong and as whole and fulfilled on the inside as it looks on the outside. I first unveiled ALLSET about a year, almost 2 years ago, 1.5 years, 2 years ago, inside of my Freedom and Legacy program. That's a year-long, high-touch, high-performance coaching program. And we went away to Zion National Park for our retreat inside of that program. And that was the first time that I brought ALLSET out into the world. So these are people that are already high performers. We had already worked together inside of Freedom and Legacy on weekly coaching calls for like 7 months at that point. Many of the folks had even, renewed multiple times. So many more than 7 months. And yet in this precious time that we had together in this retreat in Zion National Park, I wanted to create something for them that was unlike anything else I had ever taught them. I wanted to give them a life-changing experience. And so I created ALLSET and I unveiled it there. And I wondered, would it land? Was this the thing? Like capital T on the and capital T on thing. Was this the thing that could really create change and momentum, that could really dig, deeper than what are your goals and what are your limiting beliefs and how do you get through them, could really get to the core. And I saw in that weekend so many breakthroughs. And I knew if we could get this many breakthroughs in one simple weekend, that if I could teach this framework over and over again, and I could structure ALLSET Mastery where we have calls every 2 weeks and we have weekly podcasts and we're constantly diving into this work and we're focusing on execution and implementation, that people could have massive forward progress. And that's what I've seen. And that's why I get so fired up and I come to the ALLSET workshops and I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited that you're spending your evening with us. And I talk quickly and I'm excited to share this with you because I've seen in my own self, in the people that I've coached across decades, how this work has impact. I've already done a little bit of introduction. So if you're new here, welcome. I see many of the names. I old friends and new. That's what I always love about these workshops, is it's always a blend for me of people that have known me for years, maybe even decades, and then folks who are brand new to us tonight. So whoever you are across that spectrum, welcome, welcome. If you haven't already introduced yourself in the chat, drop your name and tell us where you're from, and maybe tell us a little bit about what has you excited about tonight based on what you've heard so far. In my daily life, I run Black Swan Real Estate. It's a real estate investing firm. We have about 500 million in assets under management. So the slide says 450, but we are on a buying spree. I think we have 5 apartment communities under contract right now. My husband and I lead that investment firm together. I've been married to Nick for 15 years, which feels a little impossible to say. We have 6 children, 10 and under. We have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 19-month-old, and sweet baby Elizabeth turns 5 weeks old tomorrow, our newest baby. And I love to bring together all of these different domains in life, right? I'm this psychiatrist turned real estate investor with a big, huge family, and blending these things together. I really believe that we can have it all. And I know that that is like a super touchy subject in common culture. I think particularly for women, some people are like, oh, we can absolutely have it all. And others are like, that's an impossible standard. I think we can have it all if we do so with alignment. If we say, these are my priorities, and this is how I'm effectuating each of these priorities in my life, and this is where my soul is calling me, and this is where my heart is calling me, and this is where my skill is calling me, and so forth through those 5 domains of ALLSET. And so I bring together neuroscience and psychology and psychiatry and high performance and everything that I have learned from not only my training as a psychiatrist, but from a decade plus. I was kind of calculating in my mind earlier this evening of like, how much have I spent on coaching and mentorship? Well over 500,000 over the last 10 years. And I bring that and financial abundance and the work that I do with investors at Black Swan Real Estate and growth. And I bring all of that to the ALLSET framework to deliver to you something that you can get $1 million ROI on in our time here together tonight. Thank you so much for those of you that are active in the chat. It means so much to me. It keeps my energy high. I don't know if I need extra energy or not, but it keeps my energy high. So thank you. So glad you guys are here tonight. So what is this ALLSET framework? You've heard me mention these words. Repeat them back to yourself as I go through these. The ALLSET framework is a 5-domain way of thinking about who we are as humans. I've talked a little about in my introduction tonight about how in this particular time, in June of 2026, information is an infinite resource. AI is changing everything. What we are able to do with AI is completely different in June than it was in May, April, March, the months before that. It's going to be completely different in the next 6 months. And even outside of AI, the pace of change has always picked up across humanity, right? So if we think about, tens of thousands of years ago, something like humans conquering fire might have been the change of that millennia, right? And then the printing press, and then humans becoming literate, and the advancement of education, and then the Renaissance and the Industrial Revolution. But change was relatively slow. Right? In the 40, maybe 70-year lifespan of a human, you might experience 1, maybe 2 major changes. Today, we experience those major changes in 1 month's time. And the pace of change is picking up. If we even look at the pace of change from, say, the year 2000 versus today, 26 years later, or even 2020 versus today, 6 years later, the pace of change is picking up. And so it is becoming increasingly, exponentially more important that we know how to operate ourselves as humans. ALLSET is the operating system for ourselves. So what is the operating system? First is our skill set. I mentioned how sometimes I think of ALLSET as a circle, which is the way I displayed it here on this slide. Other times I think of it as interlocking rings. And then other times I think of it as like a triangle or a pyramid. Skillset in many ways is a foundation. You're also going to hear me say that about Soulset. So I'm just like pre-warning you that you're going to say, I thought Skillset was the foundation. I thought Soulset was the foundation. Don't allow yourself to slip into confusion. There's no dogma here. There's just different ways of looking at this depending on what's the area of life that would give you the biggest leap forward. And it changes, right? Maybe right now, a big leap forward in your skill set would really, move the needle for you. But 3 months from now, after you've kind of worked through some things on your skill set, maybe having a big advancement in your body set would be, the next big change for you. But skill set is how we show up in our day-to-day life. Most of us are gainfully employed. We're spending the majority of our working hours in some type of career or money earning activity. And our skill set is the thing that we bring to that work. Mindset is how we think about the world, how we think about ourselves. Mindset is that quiet internal monologue that not only, it's more than quiet. It's so quiet that it's like invisible to us. We can't even see it. It's like telling a fish you live in water. They're like, what? What's water? This is just my life, right? Mindset is the programming that we run about how we think about ourselves, how we think about the world, the filter through which we see everything, the questions that we ask ourselves that we aren't even aware of that we're asking ourselves that help us to filter all of the information that we receive. Heartset is our connection to others and most importantly to ourselves. BODYSET is the energy that we have in our body. Our minds and our heart live inside of the body. And so we really have to have this aligned, centered, grounded, present body so that as we have all these pings and dings and emails flooding us all day and text messages and kids need to have their soccer uniform and this thing needs to be ready for a presentation tomorrow and 2 weeks from now is this baby shower we need to go to and 6 months from now we need to have our promotion packet put together for the committee, right? All of those things. If we don't have the energy in our body, and not just energy like oomph, like get up and go, but I really think of the words for my own self. You think about what resonates for you. For me, it's really about a calm, centered, grounded energy that I know I have a well of resources inside of my body to carry me through the day, to carry me through the little things, making sure the kids have their soccer cleats and their soccer ball and they're at the game on time. And then to also carry me through the big things of like examining what exactly is my soul set. I turned 40 this year. I knew that I was turning 40. I also knew that I was having our last baby. So after a decade of my 30s, a decade of building my medical career, our real estate portfolio, our business, our family, it's a big pivot year for me this year. And so I've spent a lot of time examining what is my soul set, what really brings me joy and flow in life. And to do that, you have to have a calm, centered body, to have the energy to dip into that really focused work. And then Soulset in many ways, when I think of ALLSET as a triangle, I do see Soulset at the bottom. I see it taking up that foundation, that larger slice. It is the thing on which everything else is built. Let's say, for example, someone creates a skill set and they do really well at it. They become world-class. Maybe they become world-class at becoming a physician, right? Many of you on this call are a physician or another healthcare professional or other, highly trained, highly skilled profession that you've spent a lot of time and money working on that skill set, formal education, training, career, all of those things. And yet if it is completely misaligned with Soulset, that pain. Right? Maybe some of you feel that pain. Maybe right there that landed for some of you. And if that did, that's okay. That's okay. You You can align your skill set with intentional work. You can move so that your skill set is aligned with your soul set and your calendar starts to reflect that. It doesn't happen overnight, but over weeks and months and years. Even if you don't change your career, you don't even necessarily have to change your job, but you can change the things that you're doing inside of your career so that it aligns with your soul set. So that's why I think of soul set as that foundational piece. Soul set is not a religious or a faith paradigm. Although for many people, if you have a religious or faith paradigm, that's where it fits, is inside of soul set, is your connection to a creator, your connection to a higher purpose, a higher source, your connection to something that you pray to or that you get spiritual guidance from. That would fit inside of soul set. But soul set is designed to be completely agnostic of any faith, to really just connect to what it is that you want in your one precious human life. So when we think about kind of defining ALLSET in one sentence, we've spent about half an hour together. If someone tapped you on the shoulder and said, hey, what are you listening to? I would want you to be able to turn around and say, I'm working on the ALLSET workshop with Dr. Elaine Stageberg. It's 5 domains: Skillset, Mindset, Heartset, BODYSET, Soulset. It's the operating system for everything internal, the operating system for you and your human machine, the part that it has always been yours, will always be yours, the billion-dollar machine that directs your entire life. So we can get the information that we need from AI. We can blast through tasks and all of those things with the pace of change, right? We can hire VAs, we can do all these things. AI is becoming the operating system for everything external. Information is becoming infinitely available and therefore not very valuable. But operating this machine, the machine that directs everything, the machine that gives us purpose, the machine that gives us joy, connection, the machine that helps us to create meaning in life, the machine that when we get to the end of our lives, whether that's tomorrow or the good Lord willing 50 plus years away, we're able to look back and say, I lived a life of meaning. I was able to experience things. I was able to have joy with other people. I was able to find a sense of belonging, a sense of meaning. I know what my life was about. I'm leaving behind a legacy that I feel good about. I have connections with people that are going to outlive me, that will continue to carry on the system, the legacy. All of that fits into ALLSET. And it's about doing it intentionally. Intentionally. Thinking about not just showing up in life and before you know it, your calendar is completely blocked with appointments that maybe some of them you didn't even agree to. Your email is full of things. I like to say, like, your email is just other people's to-do lists, right? Like, how crazy is it that someone can just email you something that's a priority for them and then it becomes a priority for you, right? So you've got the calendar, you've got the emails, the text messages, the reminders, all the things. And before you know it, you've not really asked yourself, is any of this what I really want? Maybe some of it is, probably a lot of it is, right? You probably have a good life in many, many, many ways. And yet if even just a few percent, even 3-5% is really misaligned, is creating friction, is draining you, is burning you out, is giving you a sense of, is this really what it's all about? Is this what I slaved through my 20s and 30s for, right? Are these really the beliefs that I really agree in, or was this just accidentally handed down to me from someone else? All of that falls into the operating system of being intentional, building a life by design, not just by default. Building a life by design, not by default. I absolutely love that phrase. That'd be a good one to write down. So let's jump into our workbook here. Rachel, if you could pop it into the Zoom chat again, that'd be super helpful. I'd appreciate that. Page 3, you have in your workbook this slide here that talks about, or that shows the visual framework of ALLSET, that doesn't just name the 5 domains, but gives you a little sentence about it so that you have that. You don't have to worry about writing down everything that I've been saying for the last little while. I want you to take notes. I want you to be engaged. I want you to focus on execution, and that this being a workshop. This is a workshop. We're not here for a television show tonight. If that's all you've got, great. Participate, enjoy it. I hope you're entertained. Come back, do the replay, participate in the workshop then. But if you're at all able to tonight, do the workshop portion of tonight and know that a lot of what we have in the workbook there, so that you don't have to write furiously every single word, as I go through our teaching. But what we are going to do is start on page 4 of our workbook. It's several more pages into the actual workbook than that because we have a couple introductory pages that aren't numbered. But down at the bottom in the workbook, you'll see it says page 4, and up at the top it says Skillset. And I love the little tabs that we have on the right-hand side too that make it look like an old school binder. So everyone get there to page 4, and when you're at page 4, type Skillset in the chat so I know you're there and you're engaged and we're ready to go. This is the time to get out your pen or pencil. Skillset is the collection of your capabilities, your talents, and your tools that allow you to take effective action, that allow you to show up in the world and say, I have an idea and I know how to turn that idea into execution. I have this career, I have this economic activity, I have a business, I have some investments. You see problems in the world and you create solutions to those problems. Skillset, when it's truly aligned, is rooted in your zone of genius. Now, for many of us, we may have a ton of outward success. You may be decades deep into an amazing career, and you may not even know what your zone of genius is. And that is okay. It doesn't mean you're behind. It doesn't mean you're bad or you're wrong. It just means no one ever taught you that concept. No one ever asked you when you were in your adolescence or your early career phase, what is it that you really want? What is it that you're really good at? People instead might have focused on what school do you go to, or what's a high-paying career, or what's expected of you, or what do your parents want from you? And then before you know it, you're swept away into it. Your zone of genius, your unique ability is that set of tasks that there's likely some nature component to it. You likely were born with some unique talent in that area, and then you honed it through intentional practice, through flow, through years of working on it. And it may be a nascent zone of genius, or it may be a quiescent zone of genius if you haven't given it resources, maybe for years or even decades. And it does require constant refinement. It requires first identifying what is your zone of genius, and then doing a time audit to see how much of your time are you actually spending in your zone of genius. And for most people, it's really, really low. It's really, really low. And we could choose to be sad by that, or we could choose to say, okay, here's an opportunity. And we can say, okay, right now, I know what my zone of genius is because I've worked with a coach and I've figured it out. I'm able to identify it, right? We first have to know how to define something before we can find it in the world. So I've identified it, I've defined it, I've found it on my calendar. Okay, now it's say 5% of my time. Whew, knife to the heart. I wish it was 50%, right? Okay, what do I need to do to make it so that next week it's 6%, and a month from now it's 10%, and a year from now it's 50%, right? And we have that continual refinement, doing time audits moving forward. So what are the other ways that we spend our time, right? If we're not spending our time in zone of genius, what are the other ways? The other ways are zone of incompetence. Those are the things that we're not good at, that we don't enjoy. You know, when you're in your incompetent zone, it feels horrible. The next one is your zone of competence. So you're good at it, right? I can cook like a kind of decent meal. I can like keep my children alive. I'm not incompetent. It's not my zone of genius. It's not even my zone of excellence, but I don't know. I can like bake a pork loin and, cook some vegetables. That's a zone of competence for me. Your zone of excellence is the things that you are really good at. And this is where people get stuck. Most people do not get stuck in their zone of incompetence or competence. It would be so viscerally displeasing that you would naturally find your way out of it, right? If you were in a job that you were no good at, and like if someone, tried to, give me a job as like a concert pianist, whoa. Like a week later, I'm like, I quit, right? I'm out. No notice. I'm just out. I don't know how to read music. I have 2 left hands. Like I couldn't do it, right? So I would naturally find my way out of my zone of incompetence. I would self-select out of it. Zone of excellence is the danger zone. I want you to listen very carefully to that. Zone of excellence is the danger zone. This is where we get rewarded. We get rewarded financially. We get rewarded with praise. We get rewarded with a little bit of dopamine, because we are good at it and we can get the work done. We can see the task, we can see the email, we can see the calendar block, and we're like, yeah, that's not too bad. That's pretty easy. I can take care of that. But it doesn't fill us with joy. And if you take care of a bunch of like meh things, your life is going to feel meh. And at the end of the day, you're going to go home and you're going to wonder why you're low on energy, why you feel burnt out. When you wake up in the morning, you're not excited to get out of bed. You don't have that zest and that zeal. You're not this crazy lady with a 5-week-old at home who's just like dying to do these workshops because you're like, meh, I'm good at it. But your zone of genius, you are attracted to it like a magnet. Once you identify what it is and you can see it, you can't stop thinking about it. Like you have an infatuation with it. You have a crush on it. You want to be around it all the time. You want to experience it more. That's what I want for you. That's how I want you spending your time. So if you think about how I described zone of competence, incompetence, excellence, and genius, skill set, what it looks like when it's aligned, what it looks like when it's not aligned, at the bottom of page 4 there, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being really bad, horrible, couldn't get any worse, and 10 being like, oh my gosh, shouting from the rooftops, like the energy of the Knicks just winning the championship, right? So that's 1, that's 10, that's what we're gonna do for our scale tonight. Just non-judgmentally, with no shame, no judgment, just objectively, like you are a researcher in a lab. What's your number? What's your number? And if you feel so inclined, pop it into the chat. That gives me some sense of where you guys are collectively as a group, and I can create my examples and my coaching around that. There's no shame in a low number. There's no shame in a high number. I will offer for you that your mind might have some beliefs on low numbers that might show up, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. How am I allowing this to happen? I feel so bad. If only I X, right? Your mind might also offer up to you some interesting thoughts about high numbers. You might be thinking like, I don't know if I deserve this, or I'm not going to share a high number in the chat because I don't want to brag, or maybe a sense of like, I don't know how this happened, or what if I lost it, right? So your mind might offer up to you all sorts of thoughts about the numbers, the 1s, the 5s, the 10s. Just see the scale. When I prompt you to do the rating, circle the number, pop it into the chat. That's data, and it gives you your baseline, so that as we go through the workshop, and if you choose to engage in this work in the coming year in ALLSET Mastery, you've got the baseline to work, and then you can say, okay, MR is at a 5, Kristen is at a 5, Greta is at a 6, Hadil is at an 8. You just say, okay, if I'm at a 5, what is it that I need to do to get to a 6? That's it. That's it. There's no judgment, there's no shame, there's no doubt around it, just a very objective. If I'm at 5, what do I need to do to get to 6? If I'm at 6, what do I need to do to get to 7? On and on. And then let's pop over to page 5. Page 5 is the questions that you see on the screen here too, if you're watching in webinar format. In the workbook, there's more questions than we have time to go through tonight. And you're probably thinking, Elaine, we're going 2 hours. How do we not have time for all of the questions? It's because these questions are really valuable. The introspection is really valuable. You are worthy of giving yourself focused time to go through the 3 questions for each of the 5 domains. It's 15 questions throughout the whole workbook. And it could easily take, say, 90 minutes to 2 hours just to have that time and space to do that. So we're going to do about 1 question together. I'm going to talk you through the questions. And if as you're taking a look at them, things are flowing for you, just go ahead and jot it down, right? You don't have to perfectly follow my prompts for each of the domains. Use this time, and if inspiration is flowing through you, jot it down, write it out. It could be 1 word, could be a bullet point, could be a full sentence, pop it into the chat. But I'm going to call out what I consider to be the most important question for each of the domains. So let's do that for skill set. And then at the end of this, you'll have seen a whole round. So what we're going to do in our time here is we're going to talk about the domain. We're going to do a self-rating of the domain, do some reflection in the guided questions, have a summary of that domain, and then move on, and we'll do that through all 5 domains. And this is where I think you will start to feel the experience that I have as I think about ALLSET, where sometimes it feels like that circle format that's in your workbook. Other times it feels like interlocking rings, and then other times it feels like that triangle. And you'll start to have an embodied relationship with the ALLSET framework as we go through. So when we think about skill set, the first thing we have to think about is how we're spending our time. The first activity as we do a skill set audit is first doing a time audit. Speaking about AI, when I first started teaching time audits many years ago, I had an Excel spreadsheet and a PDF. And I would say, about every 4 hours, go back and in either 15 or 30-minute increments, log what you're doing in that time. Are you at work? Are you seeing patients? Are you in a meeting? Are you having lunch? Are you driving from point A to point B? Are you having dinner with your spouse? Are you scrolling on social media? Are you watching, mindless Netflix? Whatever it is, just write it down. From 8 to 8:15, I was doing this. From 7 to 9 p.m. Central, I was in the ALLSET workshops. Now with AI, you can do an export from your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar, pop it into Claude and say, Claude, tell me how I'm spending my time. And it will give you what a management consultant, would have costed tens of thousands of dollars a few years ago. So how are you spending your time or energy? Which of those areas feel aligned and which feel misaligned? That's another way of saying, which are the areas that are your zone of incompetence and maybe competence? What are the areas where you're accidentally getting sucked into zone of excellence, but that's draining you dry? And alignment will come from your zone of genius. And then the question I want to work on together tonight, if you were fully aligned, what would you choose to spend more time doing? If you were fully aligned, what would you choose to spend more time doing? So take a few seconds, jot whatever comes to mind, share it in the chat, declare it. When we can see the future, when we can see what it is that we want to create, it makes it exponentially more likely that we actually create it, right? If I'm trying to create a movie and I can't describe to my set directors and my actors and actresses and my costume makers what it is that I see, we will not be able to create the movie. So when we think about what it is that you want, if you were fully aligned, what would you choose to spend more time doing? By seeing it, you make it more likely that it becomes true. And then by declaring it and sharing it with another human in the chat, Angie says, make art. Angie, I know that about you from years of having a relationship with you. I know that about you. That is a zone of genius for you. Many years ago, Angie sent me just kind of completely unprompted. I had a miscarriage and she sent me a little piece of art and said, I felt moved to send this to you. And I remember that all these years later. So thank you for that. My true hobbies of DIY projects. If fully aligned, stop worrying about what others think. Instead, help people like through volunteering or serving. That's what Deb shared. These things that you're writing down, that's you bumping up against your zone of genius. What we do in ALLSET Mastery is we have whole module dedicated to skill set, and we work through several different ways of looking at zone of genius. We do a time audit, we look at the calendar, we figure out where are you, how much time are you spending, and then most importantly, what can you do without just completely uprooting your life and just completely tearing everything apart, because most people don't want to do that, right? For most people that might be a little bit reckless. But what can you do inside of the general structure of your life that makes it so that you're spending more of your time in your zone of genius? And this question here, if you were fully aligned, what would you choose to spend more time doing? That's the first step. Dr. Jofili says, if fully aligned, I would write a book. I love it. What would the book be about? Let's hear about it. What would the book be about? All right, let's go over to page 6. Let's keep the energy high. Let's keep the pace pretty fast. In my teaching, I talk about how pacing is really intentional. So sometimes I go really slow and I have some music playing and I really allow a lot of time for reflection. And other times I move pretty quickly. It's because I'm trying to activate different parts of the human mind. Sometimes you're more in your left brain, you're more in your frontal lobe, you're more in your language center, in your executive functioning. That's when I'm pushing slower. I'm prompting a little bit more. I'm speaking slower. I'm allowing more time. And then other times you're in your right brain. You're more in your intuition. You're in like the pre-verbal parts of your nervous system, in the feelings part, in the, I can't quite describe it, but if I could, it's kind of this. That's what we want to try to get into tonight. So that's why we're going to move fairly quickly, and it won't quite feel like you have the full answer to everything, because I want to get you through all 5 domains in a relatively compact time. Not because I don't think the work is valuable and I don't think you could spend literally a whole day on this, but because I want to tap into that right-sided thinking, that intuition piece, and help you to maybe get some connections that wouldn't be so obvious if we went through it very slowly and methodically. So let's jump into mindset. Mindset is the one that you probably most know, that you know the most about. Probably everyone here has done some sort of mindset podcast, or read a mindset book, or heard other people talking about mindset, or heard of the concept of coaching, and have some sense of how we experience the world is through our minds, through the thoughts that we have. There's so many more layers to that. As a psychiatrist, as a coach, I just think, oh my gosh, there are so many layers to mindset. And yet I created ALLSET because mindset is just the tip of the iceberg. And what I saw time and time again, maybe this will resonate with you, is people think that mindset is it all. Maybe that's what they've been taught in a program or a class that they've taken, or a coach that they've worked with, like mindset, mindset, mindset. What's a different way you can think about that? How can you let go of that limiting belief? How can you set a bigger goal? And I love mindset. I am in no way maligning mindset. Mindset is a part of ALLSET. You can't have ALLSET without mindset. And yet these other components are so important too. And they prop up mindset. They give us the oomph and the energy and the openness and the connectedness to allow our mindset the space to actually breathe and come to life in the world. So when we think about mindset, we think about an aligned mindset is anchored in growth. Anchored in growth. I believe that an aspect of us that separates us from all other animals, from all other creation period, is that we can grow. We don't just live by instinct. We don't just live by programming. We live by seeing the future, having a vision of the compelling future, and then moving toward that. We never stop growing. We never stop learning. We never stop getting more insights, more experience, more intuition, anchored in growth, believing that you can learn, adapt, and rise to any occasion. Leverages self-awareness. Mindset thinks about your thinking. Mindset asks us to pause and to have an internal monologue with ourselves, and to ask ourselves, why did I feel that way? Or why did I say that? Or why did my tone change? Or what's the underlying belief? I'm home with baby Elizabeth on maternity leave right now. And after I got the other 5 bigger kids off to their summer camp today, I spent probably 4 hours working through in my own life, what's the next round of limiting belief that I need to shatter through? When we first ask ourselves, what are some limiting beliefs? It might be like a really obvious one, like, oh, maybe I feel imposter syndrome. That's one that almost every human on earth has felt, right? They're a little more obvious. And then as we keep going, we have, it's like an onion, right? Apologize for like the super cliche metaphor, right? But we peel back that layer, and then we just have to keep peeling, and we never stop peeling. I hope that I am peeling back limiting beliefs and expanding my mindset when I'm 95 years old, when I'm 105 years old. And I worked on this today of what is a belief I am ready to release? That's the first question on page 7. What is a belief you are ready to release? But before we go to that, I want to do our rating. So let's talk about what mindset feels like when it's out of alignment. You default to the same thoughts in moments of stress or uncertainty. What I came to see in my work that I was doing myself earlier today is I default to a thought of how can I take a safe path? How can I take a safe path? That's a reasonable thing for a physician to think, right? We are taught we need to make sure that we get the dose right, the medicine right, understand the side effects, and first do no harm, right? I was legally emancipated at 16. My mother wasn't in the picture. My father was addicted to opioids. And so I had to really think a lot about safety growing up. I had to think about my physical safety, my financial safety. I had to think about when I was a 16-year-old young woman living in an apartment alone, the safety. I had to make sure the door was locked and my car was locked and I didn't walk from, places by myself in the dark, and that I was taking care of myself because no one else, was around to do that. As an investor, I have to think about safety. I have to think about not losing investor capital, about not having capital calls, making sure we can make our distributions. And so I default to safety. And yet at times, even though all of that can serve me, and I'm giving you this specific example to show that limiting beliefs often provide us with a tremendous amount of value. That's why we stick to them. That's why they keep showing up, is because they're valuable. In the examples that I gave, a safety lens was really critical. It quite literally saved my life when I was 16 years old and I chose to fight for emancipation. And yet it also maybe stops me in some of the big goals that I want to set. Maybe I write it down and then I'm like, I don't know if that's for me, or I don't know if I could really do that, or would that create so much like uncertainty in my life that it would kind of rock the boat, right? I'll take the safer path. So that's an example of a thought that continues to show up in moments of stress or uncertainty. You understand what would serve you, but you struggle to follow through consistently. You rely on motivation, right? Like pepping yourself up, rah-rahing yourself, like I can do this, setting timers, right? All of those things. And you feel like you're working on yourself, but you're not necessarily feeling the shifts. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how optimized and aligned is your mindset? Just circle that number, no judgment, no shame. It's just a baseline. Where are you? Greta says a 7 is coming in. Where are you on your mindset? 8 from Rachel. Good. An 8 from Deb, 8 from Angie. Angie says today. That's a deep insight. That's an insight full of wisdom, right? Our mindset ebbs and flows. And what causes our mindset to ebb and flow? Our body set. When we're tired, we're low energy, we're feeling uncertain, we're feeling doubt, our mindset might go way down. When we're feeling pumped up, when we're feeling calm, centered, magnetic, that mindset might soar. So that's a deep insight there, Angie, that you said 8 today. Got a bunch of 7s in a row. Seems like a common number that's showing up. And then I couldn't help myself as I was guiding us through. So on page 7, here's this question that's the most important question for mindset. What is one belief you are ready to release? What is one belief you are ready to release? I gave my very personal example. That's hot off the presses. I was doing some mindset journaling. It started at 9 a.m. this morning. It took me about 3 hours to really dig deep and say, where did this come from? What are the first places in life that this showed up? And how is it serving me, but also how is it a big, heavy, weighted vest that's also holding me back? And if I released it and I set it down, how could I run a little faster? So what's one belief you are ready to release? It's often cloaked in something that is serving you. And that's what makes these beliefs so insidious, is it's probably not something, super self-hateful. It's probably not like, I'm ugly or I'm stupid, right? It's probably not something quite like that. It's something that has served you, that has given you value, that has been really critical for you at an earlier stage of development. And yet today is a big, heavy weighted vest, is a big backpack full of rocks that's holding you back. And then if you wanted to expand on that, when we release something, we create a vacuum, we create some white space. And if we don't fill that white space with something better, that old belief will take up the spot. That's just how nature works, right? Nature abhors a vacuum. So if we create the vacuum, if we don't intentionally fill it, nature will fill it for us. And what will it fill it with? It will fill it with the easiest, most readily accessible belief, which is that one that you've been running for 5 years, 10 years, maybe 50 years. So when we release that belief, we have to then replace it with a different belief and then begin reinforcing that belief. And simple neuroscience says that what fires together wires together in terms of our neurons. The neurons that fire together wire together. And so it takes practice. It takes intentionality. We have to get that muscle memory. We have to allow ourselves many opportunities where we're presented with whatever environmental situation triggers the old belief. And we have to say, no, not that belief. Hold that. This other belief over here. Let me practice that. Even if it doesn't feel 100% real right now, can I make it feel 10% real? Can I make it feel 25% real? And then how would that shift change the way we show up in life? We talk about execution in ALLSET. We talk about this being a workshop and creating real change in your life. How would that shift show up? How would you interact with the world and with yourself, with others? Some scarcity belief is in the people are sharing in the chat, not having to earn my worth. Belief that I need to stay in a secure situation. That came from MR. That one is really, really, really common. Many of us as humans, probably most of us, 90% plus, we value security. Even if we enjoy risk-taking, say, like in our hobbies or in our athleticism or in our travel, those sorts of things, we might feel like, oh, I'm such an adventurous risk taker. I try new foods, I go new places. And yet the real architecture of our life is a job that we hate because we have golden handcuffs, or a friendship or a relationship that we know doesn't serve us, but we're too afraid to have the difficult conversation, or the pattern that we're stuck in that we've been in since childhood because it pleases our mother or pleases our grandmother, right? We're so rooted in security. And when we can blast through that and say, what is it that I really want? Even if it rocks the boat a little bit, what is it that I really want? That's when we can really start to create that life that's fully aligned, that ALLSET life. One more share. I want to release the belief habit of overworking to prove myself to my employer, prove my personal worthiness, that I need to trade my time for results or success. So true. That's another super common one. Thank you guys for the shares. I love this. I hope you guys are getting some value out of the introspection, doing your rating, starting to answer some of these questions. Let's move into Heartset. Heartset's getting a little deeper. This is a place where for some of you might just start to literally bring up emotions. Heartset and BODYSET are very emotions-based. Starts to feel more scary, for lack of a better word. Skillset and mindset are so outward focused. Right? We are conditioned in Western culture, right? What do you do when you meet someone at a party or in an elevator? Hi, what do you do? Right? We define ourselves by our skill set. We define ourselves by the value that we create in the economic world. When we move into Heartset, into BODYSET, it's going deeper into that visceral, in the gut, in the body, in the heart, right? At the core, going into that part of us. This is that human intuition. This is the part of us that today in June of 2026, and certainly over the next 3, 5, 10 years, this will be the most valuable currency that we have as humans, because AI will take care of everything else. AI and robots will take care of everything else. And our Heartset and our BODYSET will be the things that set us apart. And when we know how to run our own human operating system with an aligned Heartset and an aligned BODYSET, that's how we'll create a life of meaning. That's how we'll create a life of value, and not just get swept away into work and automation and all of the things that are coming for us. I love this quote by Paulo Coelho in The Alchemist. Absolutely love The Alchemist, you guys. I cannot recommend it enough. It's a short little book. Even at a normal reading speed, you can finish it in just a few hours. If you have any time in the coming weeks, maybe you have a summer vacation coming up, or you like to read at night, whatever, grab The Alchemist, read it. Read it if it's your first time, read if it's your 100th time reading it. Absolutely life-changing text. Paulo Coelho writes, "You will never be able to escape from your heart, so it is better to listen to what it has to say." You will never be able to escape from your heart, so it is better to listen to what it has to say. I could come up with a deeply meaningful quote from The Alchemist for all 5 of the ALLSET domains, but then you guys would think I'd only ever read one book ever. But for Skillset or for Soulset, He writes, when you want something, all of the universe conspires to help you achieve it. When you want something, all of the universe conspires to help you achieve it. Love The Alchemist. You will never be able to escape from your human heart. There are a large number of neurons in the human heart. The neurological connection between the heart and the brain is astounding. The heart is more than just our feelings or, oh, our thinking is what's most important. That's what we're socialized in Western culture, and the heart is second. Or we must lead with facts, right? We must lead with our mind, and intuition is this like much less worthy kind of, second rate way of thinking. No. Our heart gives us so much insight into what it is that we want, what it is that we're creating, the decisions that we should make, right? How many times in your life have you had a situation where you had a feeling and you didn't do it because your mind told you something else? And a day, a week, a year later, you're like, oh, should have listened to my heart, should have listened to my heart. Or conversely, you listened to your heart, even when your mind was like, no, stop, what are you doing? Put the brakes on, you're crazy. And you're like, nope, I'm going to listen to my heart. I'm going to do what my heart says. And it turns out to be the right decision. That is Heartset. That is something that no AI can touch. That is something that machine learning has not come anywhere close to it. And I don't think will, because it's such a different part of our nervous system. It's not rooted in facts. It's rooted in intuition and feeling, and it's much more ancient than our frontal lobes as well. So when we think about our heart, when Heartset is out of alignment, and for most people it is. If you're listening and you feel really aligned in your Heartset, I am so excited for you. I am cheering for you. Something has gone well in your life. I'm excited for you. For most people, Heartset is out of alignment, and it shows up insidiously. It's things like feeling drained at the end of a conversation, feeling a sense of maybe you're out with a friend or on the phone with a relative, and you get off and you're like, were we just talking past each other the whole time? There was like no real connection there. There was no oxytocin flowing. We're stuffing down our emotions. We're people pleasing. We're saying the things that we want to say, right? Even right here in this share, to release the belief that I have to prove myself, that I have to prove my personal worthiness, that I have to trade my time for results or success. That's Heartset. That's Heartset saying, I don't want to just stuff down my emotions and just show up and look outwardly productive. I want to be fully present. I want to be grounded. I want to feel comfortable with vulnerability. I want to have relationships where I can see and be seen, where I don't have to put on the look that I think they want from me, where I can really say, this is what's a challenge for me, and this is what's awesome in my life. That's why I did the little coaching about the rating in the beginning, is that we are conditioned to stuff down our real experience, to stuff down our real emotions when it's maybe not what we think it quote unquote should be, right? Maybe we're coming up in like a 2 or a 3 in one of the domains. We're like, I'm not going to share that. Right. I don't want to like reveal my vulnerability or have imposter syndrome, or, my real name is on this Zoom call. I don't want people to like think negatively if my, Soulset score is a 3. But then we also dim our light because we think, oh, maybe if I shine my light too much, like people might think I'm arrogant or I'm bragging or I'm making it up. Or if I'm an 8 or a 9 or a 10, I'm not going to say that either. I'll bring it down a little bit. I'll say it's a 7 or a 6. So we find that we go throughout the day and we have all of this bombardment of how we quote unquote should show up in the world, how we should show up in relationships, in our professional setting, right? All these different things. And we prioritize control. We prioritize the image that we want to project over real connection. And we may even do that in the closest relationships in our lives. Maybe with our own parents, maybe with our spouse, with our children, even with lifelong best friends. We may find that over time we ratchet down vulnerability a little bit today and a little bit tomorrow and a little bit the next day. And then before we know it, we have this like fake relationship because we're trying to present ourselves as like the good friend or the good mom or that we have it all together. That's where Heartset, that's where it's all misaligned. And instead, when we can just show up as our own selves and say, this is my real experience, these are my real emotions, this is really what my heart's saying, the good and the bad, that's when we get into that sense of flow and connection with ourselves and with others. So when you hear that, you hear the side of Heartset that's maybe misaligned, and then you hear the side of Heartset that's really aligned. On that scale of 1 to 10, we're now on page 8. How optimized and aligned is your Heartset? Heartset is really where the work starts to get deep. How optimized and aligned is your Heartset on a scale of 1 to 10? What's coming up for you? Whatever the number is, it's okay. It's absolutely okay. It's wonderful. On page 9 there, I have that amazing quote from The Alchemist. So if you printed out your workbook, you can, post that on your fridge or your mirror, pop it on the dash of your car, put it in a place where you can look at it many times over the coming days and connect with your Heartset. Connect with who you really are. You will never escape from your heart. It lives inside of you. So we might as well listen to it. We have a 4, a 9, a 3, 4, a 7, another 7. So full spectrum. That's what we would expect in an audience of this size, is a full spectrum of the human experience. On page 10, we have some reflective questions for Heartset. What emotions do you experience most often in your daily life? Inside of ALLSET, I teach what's called the BODYSET matrix. So it's relating Heartset and BODYSET. And what I know as a psychiatrist is that we have so few words to describe emotions. We're like a Crayola coloring box, and we have like the 8-pack. We're like happy, sad, mad, glad, tired, frustrated, right? That might be like the full like set of vocabulary that we have. And we don't even really ask ourselves, right? How often are you actually checking in with yourself and saying, how do I feel? What's the emotion that I'm experiencing right now? And when we train ourselves, when we give ourselves the vocabulary, when we have a matrix of high energy and low energy, and then negative and positive, and so there's a 4-quadrant matrix, and we expand our emotional vocabulary, because we as humans are such language-based beings, when we expand our emotional vocabulary, we find that we expand our experience of life. So maybe you're on a roller coaster in Disney World. That's something that brings me a tremendous amount of joy. And maybe before expanding my emotional vocabulary, I might have said like, this makes me so happy. Or I might have said like giddy. That might have been like the best word I could come up with. Or, I might have been able to describe it. Like when I go to Disney World with my kids, it feels good. I really enjoy it. We create memories, but I can't like grab a word for it, right? And now I might say, oh, when I ride Guardians of the Galaxy in Epcot with my children and I'm laughing and they're laughing, that feels effervescent. Like that feels like there's just like bubbles of joy coming from all of us. And we get off the ride and we reconnect and we're like, did you love the song? That turn was so cool, right? Like when we're able to have a bigger emotional vocabulary, we have a bigger experience of the world. We teach that in ALLSET Mastery. The question that I want to focus on tonight is, when do you feel most present and connected in your life? When do you feel most present and connected in your life? I'm going to give you a little silence to reflect on that because it's such an important question. Hopefully you're drumming up in your body, you're creating the neurochemistry in your body where you're actually feeling that experience, even if it's not actually happening right now. Maybe it's you feel most present and connected when you have uninterrupted downtime with your spouse. Maybe your spouse isn't there right now and isn't participating in the workshop with you, but even just thinking about it and recalling it is creating inside of you those feelings that show up. And what you'll notice is this question about presence and connection on page 10 inside of Heartset is a cousin question to Skillset, page 5. If you were fully aligned, what would you choose to spend more time doing? And that's an example where I say sometimes I think of ALLSET as interlocking rings. Because can you see how we could take this question, if you were fully aligned, what would you choose to spend more time doing? And we could have put it on page 10 for Heartset. We might have said, what would you choose to spend more time feeling? See that? See how doing is a skill set question and feeling is a Heartset question? And yet I'm calling out, of the 3 questions for each domain, I'm calling out the ones that are most important for our time here tonight in this workshop, because I want you to see and embody and experience the version of yourself that you most want. You're likely creating a lot of that in your day-to-day life already. I don't like to coach from a place of like, oh, everything is broken and you need to have this like savior, this guru that comes in and fixes everything. No, there's already amazing things that are happening in your life, amazing relationships. You've got some amazing skill sets. You've got some amazing thoughts, all the things. And yet when we rate ourselves non-judgmentally, without shame, merely as a management exercise, and then we immediately couple it with, what would it look like if we had more of that? What would it look like to experience a deeper experience, a richer experience, to go from the 6 to the 7? How would we choose to spend more of our time on page 5 for Skillset? When do we feel most present and connected? And then the next question, of course, is what would it look like to stay more present in those moments? If we did a time audit, if we had a little drone that followed us around for a month straight, outside of our Google Calendar or our Outlook calendar, that was just listening to the monologue of our heart, and it transcribed the whole thing. We popped it into AI and we said, what percentage of our time are we spending with a fully aligned Heartset? And it said 12%. Great, wonderful. How do we bump it to 14? How do we bump it to 20? How do we find the situations that are most likely to deplete our Heartset and build an operating system that we run in advance? Right? Maybe we have a particular relationship that we know is really challenging for us, or a conversation that we need to have, or a situation that we need to work through, right? How do we build in advance what we need to top up our Heartset so that we can then go into that experience with a plan, right? That's what we would do in an operating room. That's what we would do if we were coaching our kids on the soccer field. We would say, what's our plan? We do the same thing in these domains in ALLSET. But first we have to know what it is. First we have to see what it is that we want and then move toward it. That, my friends, is Heartset. How are you guys feeling? Tell me in the chat. We're 3/5 of the way through our 5 domains. We're a little bit past the midpoint. What's resonating for you? How's your energy? Are there any questions that are coming up for you? I love questions. If a question comes up, I'll answer it in the moment where it fits, or I'll hold it till the end, but I'll make sure that all of your questions are answered this evening. But give me a pulse on how you're feeling. We are 3/5 of the way through our domains. Deep breath, shake out some energy. If you're sitting, move your shoulders a little bit, move your jaw a little bit. I like to move my shoulders, stretch my spine, just gonna keep that energy flowing. If maybe you've dipped out with attention, you're able to say, okay, self, like, come on, let's get back into this. Let's get this $1 million of value from this time tonight. Your one precious life is worth it, right? You are the operating system of this $1 billion machine that is your humanity. Let's get the value tonight. Someone said feeling a little stressed. Tell me a little bit more about that in the chat if you want. Is it an exercise that we've done tonight? Is it something that's happening in the environment? What can we do to troubleshoot that? Feeling excited, feeling pretty good, feeling hopeful. Good. All are good, right? Any negative emotions that we have, positive emotions, they're all quote unquote good. What's good is that we know what they are and that we feel empowered to share them, and that we are true and aligned with ourselves, and we ask ourselves, why is this coming up for me? That fits right into BODYSET. I love BODYSET. I've trademarked this word. It's registered, actually. We received the trademark in 2025. I think that BODYSET in many ways is my life's work. And so I'm excited to teach it to you, maybe for the first time tonight. Maybe you've heard about this before. BODYSET is our foundation. I've probably said a couple thousand times in my life, our body is where our mind and our hearts live. So they go together. When I think about ALLSET, like Skillset is kind of the one that's like out there leading. Soulset is kind of that foundation. And then we've got these like triplets in the middle with mindset, heartset, BODYSET, because that's what's inside of us as humans, right? It goes way beyond hydration, nutrition, sleep, exercise, strength, all of those things. Those things are absolutely important. Don't get me wrong. Those are absolutely important. But inside of BODYSET, we're going way beyond, like, are you drinking enough, or are you getting your 10,000 steps in? Are you, doing something for your physical health? Are you stabilizing your blood sugar? We're going way beyond that. We are asking ourselves, this machine that we live inside of, this machine that our mind and our hearts, those independently are some of the most advanced machines that have ever existed. And then they exist inside of the most advanced machine ever, which is the human body. This machine, this nervous system, how is it functioning? Is it frazzled? Is it drained? Is it razzed? Is it like, just a constant sense of like, I need to run from one place to another? I spent probably 5 years of my life living in that energy. I was in my training. I was building Black Swan real estate. Nick and I were investing. We were having baby after baby. And it was just a constant, like, I called it coming in hot, coming in hot. Everything was like, I was 5 minutes late to everything. My calendar was jam-packed and my body was always like, ah! And outwardly, it looked really successful. When you look at, say, like Skillset, it looked really successful. I was building a medical career. I was building a real estate portfolio. I was building a family. And yet my body was just like keyed up. It wasn't drained. It wasn't a sense of burnout, because I loved what I was doing, but it also wasn't that calm, centered, deep well of real energy. It was like caffeine and adrenaline nonstop, right? That's BODYSET. We think about the nervous system and that deep innate part of us, right? If our frontal lobe is maybe a few thousand, maybe 10,000 years old, that's our language, our executive functioning, left brain thinking, that's Homo sapiens thinking, right? That's what separates us even from all of our other cousins in the Homo genus, and then certainly from other animals. BODYSET is so much deeper than that. It's the amygdala, it's our vision system, it's our parasympathetic and our sympathetic nervous system. It's the neurons in our heart and our gut. It's the feelings or the reactions that are a third of a second. Our intuition is a third of a second. Our thinking brain is a full second. So our intuition is way ahead of our thinking brain, and then we squash it down because our frontal lobes are so strong. All of that is BODYSET. Feeling grounded, feeling strong, centered, ready to hold our mind and our heart and to say, I've got you. The body says, I'm here, I'm stable, I'm a constant source of energy, I'm holding you, I'm supporting you. Mindset, you go out to the world and create. Heartset, you go out into the world and you feel safe and aligned and ready to be who you really are. The body's got it. When it's out of alignment, we push through. When I say like this human machine, I mean that in a loving sense. I mean that in a sense of like these machines, right? These monitors and this microphone and this Zoom camera, these machines are like little m machines. And this machine, this human body machine, it's a capital M machine. So I mean it in a loving way, but it can turn on us because we can treat the body like it is a machine, give it the bare minimum sleep, blast it through anything, dump it full of caffeine, push through, right? Not give it rest and peace and grace. And we just push the machine too hard. And what we find for many people, this probably is going to resonate with a good portion of you, is we use the body in service of creating our outcomes, and we wear the body down in doing so. And that might show up in exhaustion, in chronic pain, in lack of strength, in lack of energy. difficulty slowing down, difficulty feeling well rested, even after a good night's sleep, even after a lovely vacation, we still just feel off, right? We just feel like, oh man, like now I need a vacation from my vacation because we never actually restored the body. And if we're really living a life of alignment, we don't need a vacation from our real lives. We get what we need for our body in our day-to-day lives. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you on your body set? That might be a little bit of a harder one to answer because this is probably the first time you've heard of the concept body set, since it's a concept that I've created. But my hope is that I've explained it well, and you have there on page 11 on the worksheet the text as well. When you hear about body sets, circle that first number that comes to mind on a scale of 1 to 10. And then we'll go into our guided questions for body set. First, we want to know, how does our body currently feel on a typical day? That's basically taking that scale of 1 to 10, but describing it. Because how we feel in the body can be so amorphous. Maybe we've never really used words to describe it before. That's why one of the things that I teach is that body set matrix, where we look at a wide range of experiences in the body on a quadrant from low energy, high energy, good, bad. So we've got those 4 quadrants, and we bring some language to it. We teach ourselves some language so that we can connect to the body more. So that first question, how does the body currently feel on a typical day, is essentially taking that 1 to 10 scale and expanding it, giving it more color, giving it a richer description there. And then, when do you feel most energized and supported physically? When do you feel most energized and supported physically? Is there a certain ritual that you do? Maybe a meditation practice, a rest practice, prayer, walking, connecting with nature, doing some affirmations, doing some type of physical activity. For some people, it might be something really gentle, like a gentle yoga practice. For other people, it might be something super high powered, like an ultra marathon, right? Whatever is in your nervous system. When do you feel most energized and supported physically? When I was working on my mindset earlier today, and I had baby Elizabeth, she's 5 weeks old. So you can imagine I'm already kind of coming into that day feeling a little exhausted, right? She's waking up many times per night. And yet I felt so connected to her. I was baby wearing her. She was doing that little, newborn like grunts and coos and just all those sounds that newborns make, right? I could smell her. I could feel our body heats together. But I also felt myself kind of slipping in my energy as I was doing this really deep mindset work and really pushing myself, like, come on, Elaine, be real with yourself. What's the next layer? What's the next layer? Like, keep going. Don't allow yourself to give yourself the half answer, like go. I felt my energy slipping. And I knew I wanted to keep going on that work. I knew I didn't want to shelve it. I knew I didn't want to waste the investment that I had already made in myself. So I went outside. I was barefoot. I was in a robe, wearing my baby all wrapped up to my chest. Went outside, stood in the sun with my bare feet on the grass, just kind of walked around there for not very long, 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes. And I just allowed myself to breathe and to look at the green in the trees and the blue in the sky and just feel energized and supported. When I use the word energy, in Elaine's world, that doesn't mean like, I've got so much energy. It means energy, like you can think of it as like electricity. Like, do you have the resources that you need to create what it is that you want in your body? So I was out there like a little plant. Like, I was getting my sunshine, I was getting my fresh air, I was getting my connection to the soil, I was breathing, I was getting my oxygen. Plants need carbon dioxide. I need oxygen, right? But I was energizing myself. So when do you feel most energized and supported? Pilates, grounding, barefoot. Yes, barefoot is so, yes, Angie, like current or flow. Yes, exactly. Like charging up. Yep, exactly. I love that. When do you feel that? And you see how these questions, are you feeling that interlocking ring? visual that I do with ALLSET. I hope you're feeling some of that. And then the next question to support that is, what is one way that you can begin to support your body more consistently? That's the framework of ALLSET over and over and over, is defining the domain, understanding all of the parts of us as this human machine, knowing that the operating system is the most valuable thing that we have. How do we show up in the world? That's the most valuable thing because it impacts everything. It impacts our health, our spirituality, our relationships, our career, our family, our hobbies, our travel. It impacts everything. It impacts everything, not just today, but for decades to come. So we get compounding return on it. Checking in, understanding in each of the domains where we are, where do we want to be, and then what do we need to do to move forward. And inside of ALLSET Mastery, that's what we do. We go into each domain, each month gets a domain, and we do exactly that. And we keep going and we iterate, and then we loop back, right? There's more months in the year than there are the 5 domains. We loop back. We say, okay, I went from a 6 to 7 last time when we did, say BODYSET a couple months ago. Now we're going to say, okay, well, where am I? Did I maintain that 7? And then can I move from 7 to 8? Or maybe I had a slip, and that's okay too, right? Things come up. Okay, now I'm at a 4. Well, I know what a 6 looks like because I used to be there. So can I leapfrog back to 6 faster? What do I need to do to make that happen? And then how do I lock in that gain? That's what we do. And you're seeing that pattern here with checking in with the domain, doing the rating, asking yourself what it is that you really want, and then asking what's the next step to make that happen. And now let's get into Soulset. If we think about ALLSET as a triangle, I hope I'm not doing too many shapes with you guys. If it's too much, just ignore the shapes. They're not truly relevant, but I'm a very visual person, so this is how I think. If we think about ALLSET as a triangle, Soulset is at the bottom. It takes up that whole foundation. It takes up a big chunk of the real estate. It lifts everything else up. It is the foundation. It's the part of you that cannot be shaken. The part of you before you had a name, before you had a job title, before you had a description, before you were part of the org chart, and not just the work org chart, but the family org chart and the friend social setting org chart and the soccer mom org chart, all of the org charts, right? All of those things. It defies explanation. It transcends belief systems. It just is. It's just indescribable. If you have a faith or a religious framework, this is where it fits in. This is your sense of, what is life all about? Where did you come from? What's the purpose of your life? What's your connection to a higher source or a higher power? Is there an energy that you connect with, or that you create with, or that you seek guidance from? And yet it's also a-religious. It's also agnostic in the sense that it's about who we are as humans. I think of the quote, we get this one precious life. What is it that we want to create from it? I love the quote. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but any of us could Google it and find it. Like, when I show up at the end of my life, I want to be able to say, I spent it all. I did it all. I left it all on the field. That is Soulset. And we want to make sure that we live the life that we want, that we don't accidentally live the life that our parents wanted, or our culture, our education system, or the generation that we were born in, or the town that we were born in, or whatever. That's what happens for most humans. That is what happens for most humans. Most humans get to the end of their life, and they end their life, and maybe they've never asked the question, or they ask the question at the very end with a little bit of a sense of desperation and a little bit of sense of like, well, there's no time left of, I wish I had done the thing. I wish I had dated the girl that my mom didn't like, or quit the job and went off to the job that I knew I really wanted, or went off to the art school, or took the trip, or did the thing. We, on this call, we get the privilege of asking this question in the prime of our lives, so that we don't waste the next year, decades living someone else's script, and we get to live our own script. This is the work that gets me choked up. Zone of genius gets me excited. Mindset, I'm like pumped up. This tip of the iceberg we can blast through. Heartset and BODYSET gets me all in the feels and the intuition in the deeper parts of the nervous system. Soulset gets me teary-eyed because Soulset is the place that if you really allow yourself truth and you allow yourself to go there and you allow yourself to be the biggest, most magnificent, most capable, most present, most creative person that you can be, that you create the life. You don't have to make yourself small. You don't have to live someone else's script. Rumi, a 13th century poet, I'm on page 13, and then I also printed it for you on page 14 as well, so you could take that quote, maybe share it with a friend, write a little note on it, give it to your kid in their lunchbox tomorrow, like share these ideas, you guys. That's how we spread the light, right? Rumi, a 13th century poet, writes, "Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. What matters is how quickly you do what your soul wants. What matters is how quickly you do what your soul wants." Paulo Coelho in The Alchemist says, when you want something, all of the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. You first have to want it. You first have to define it and claim it and say, that is mine. Even if I don't know how to get there, even if it feels scary, even if no one before me has done it, even if my family system or my culture or whatever is gonna, say, what in the heck, this is what I feel aligned for, and you go after it. And when you do that, that's what matters. What matters is how quickly you do what your soul wants. When I think about, I'm no astrophysicist, but I have some concept of carbon and hydrogen and nitrogen and all the things, right? We came from stardust. The same thing that's in the sun and all the stars and everything that we see out there is what's in us. It's what created our cells and our organs and all the things. We, as humans, are a manifestation of the universe being aware of its existence. Let me say that again, because I don't know about you, but that gives me like a little sense of like, ooh, like we as humans are a manifestation of the universe being aware of its existence. As far as we know, nothing else has awareness. This little pacifier I have here is made of something, right? It's made of the same atoms that are inside of my body, and yet it doesn't know that it exists. It doesn't know that I picked it up. It doesn't know that I'm squeezing it. And yet I know that I have moved my hand. I know that I'm speaking words. We're the same stuff of the universe, and yet me, you, everyone listening, you are a manifestation of the universe being aware of its existence. Wow. That gives me chills. What does that mean? That means that we have the full potential of the entire universe. Guys, we are the universe. Therefore, we have the full potential of the entire universe. You can create in your life whatever it is that you want to create. You can. You just have to define it and claim it and name it, and then go out and create it. And do so with a peer group that supports you, with a coach that's pushing you forward, with people that are showing you the way, people that are a couple of steps ahead of you that can clear the path a little bit, right? Sometimes you clear the path, sometimes they clear the path. We're all just walking each other home. On a scale of 1 to 10, on page 13, Soulset, where are you? Where are you when you read Rumi's words, 13th century poet? Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. What matters is how quickly you do what your soul wants. If you just take that and you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 of that quote, Angie says 9 or 10. I love that. That makes me so happy for you. Where do you rate yourself? It's so good. And then our questions on page 15. What do you want your life to be building toward? I've said it. You have to see it. You have to name it. You have to claim it. You have to define it. What do you want your life to be building toward? In The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho says, when you want something with all your heart, the whole universe conspires to help you achieve it. That first clause of the sentence is just as important as the second clause, right? We can't like show up like a wet fish and just expect that the universe just, heaps what we want upon us. We have to say, this is what I want. This is what I want out of this one precious life. When I get to the end of my life and I say, I've left it all on the field, this is how I know. What do you want your life to be building toward? Take a minute and reflect on that. I'll give you a little silence. Write something down, pop it into the chat. If you're driving or walking or whatever, just work on it in your mind. But really give yourself the presence more than anything, the presence. What do you want your life to be building toward? And then right in the vein of ALLSET, our next question then is, what is one decision you can make that reflects that decision? You don't need to have the whole plan. You don't need to have even 5 decisions. Truly, you don't. I find for most people, if you have really touched your soul set, it feels really big, and that can make it feel really far away. Let me say that again. It feels really big, and so that can make it feel really far away. Like, well, gosh, but I've got the to-dos of all the things of day-to-day life, and I got to show up to my job tomorrow and do this and that and take care of this to-do list. Like, soul set, I don't know. Like, I'll get to that. Like, it's important, but I'm not sure where I can fit it on the calendar. You don't have to have the whole plan. One small decision could be something that takes as little as 10 or 15 minutes. A journey of 1,000,000 miles starts with a single step. Just one decision. You make that one, then you make the next one and the next one. And the you of today may not even know what decision 8 or 10 is, and that is totally okay. Here's a little secret. The people that are really living their soul set, they don't know 8 or 10 steps ahead. They just know 1 or 2, and they walk confidently. And what happens for many of us is we think, maybe because we're rooted in security, we're rooted in safety, maybe you shared that limiting belief that I worked through earlier today of like, I need to make sure that I keep that goal like tight and safe so I can have 100% certainty that I create it in reality. That's the human mind. That's what the human mind will offer to us. And so we'll say, oh gosh, if I don't have the whole plan, then I won't start. I'll just keep researching. I'll just keep looking. I'll keep figuring it out. Once I figure it out, once I have the whole 100 bullet points with all the if-then tables and everything, then I'll do it. And then before you know it, a year has passed, a decade has passed, a lifetime has passed, and we've never actually done it. So what I'm offering to you, and I hope you'll receive this gift, is that does not have to be the way. And for most people that are living in their soul set, it is not the way. The way that they have chosen is to say, what is the one decision? Small, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, hour, one decision. Better yet, if you could make it happen in the next couple of days or the next week. That's how you know you're ding, 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 like you got it. What's the one decision you can make that reflects the direction that you want your life to be building toward? And that, you guys, is the 5 domains of ALLSET. So if you're here live, if you're listening on the replay, maybe it's a hybrid of both. Maybe you're listening live right now, just kind of soaking it all in, and you're going to go back and go slow and pause it and work through the workbook. However it is that you're interacting with this workshop, we have just covered the 5 domains of ALLSET, the operating system for this wonderful, beautiful human machine that you have. Skillset, mindset, heartset, bodyset, soulset. The circle that we show in the workbook, the interlocking rings, you see the themes, you see the cousin questions, you see how we're connecting to what it is that you want to create, moving toward it, and then iterating on it and doing that over and over and over again. You see the triangle where soul set's at the bottom, kind of holding everything else up. You see those triplets in the middle with mindset, heartset, bodyset. The mind and the heart live in the body. I hope you're picking up some things here that you'll remember, that you'll bring into your operating system and choose to continue this work and make tonight the start of a journey that really transforms things for you. And more than like, oh, I had a fun time on that workshop, or that was an enjoyable webinar, but that was the start of something really magnificent. That was the day that I look back and I say, some seeds were planted there. That's where things really took me to the next level. That's what we're all doing in life, is asking ourselves, what is the next level of growth? And a next level is available for all of us. We never fully actualize ourselves. That's the beautiful thing about being human, is we get to continually ask, what's next and what's next and what's next, from a place of joy, not from a place of scarcity and lack and like, oh, I don't have enough. Life is beautiful and amazing and more than I could ever have wanted. And I know that as a human, there's always a next level for me. I know that my soul yearns for more, that I can create more value with my skill set, my mindset, heart set, body set. And so what we do next on page 16, this is the most important work of the night. This is where we put it all together. Whatever you came up with tonight, maybe you were fully present, you did all 5 domains, you've been 100% glued to the screen the whole time. If so, awesome. Maybe you've been driving from one soccer practice to another. All my kids are in soccer, so that's why I give that example so often. Like literally, I did not, when I was like 20, I didn't realize that I'd be a soccer mom at 40, but here we are. So maybe that's you, right? Maybe you're driving from one thing to the next, or maybe you're still at the office or in the hospital seeing patients, whatever it is. Maybe you just kind of listen tonight. You got 1 or 2 of the domains, wherever you are, whatever has come up for you tonight, we're going to take that and we're going to create momentum for you. Leaving the sight of how you spent your time without your next move is, I'll call it like disrespectful to the value of your time. Your life is so precious. Your time is the most valuable thing you have. And so I want to help you facilitate that. And I would be failing you as a coach if I didn't help facilitate that, of say, okay, this time that we spent together tonight, what's your next move? So on page 16 and here on the screen, 1 shift, 1 action. 1 shift, 1 action. 1 shift I'm ready to commit to. I think of shift as something internal. Might be a mindset, heart set, body set thing. Might be a way of relating to the world or to yourself. A shift, something kind of internal. That's what separates shift and action. 1 shift I am ready to commit to. And then 1 action I will take this week. Action is external. Action can be seen. Action is effortful. I'm going to do it. It's obvious when the action is done. What's your shift? What's your action? Maybe it's one of the 5 domains is really standing out to you of like, yeah, this is it. Maybe it's some amorphous combination of 2 or 3 or all 5 of them. Maybe it's you seeing the future in those domains and you saw some pattern. And there might be a shift or an action that moves the needle for you in more than 1 domain. That's how you really know you're on the money. Is, oh, this 1 action could move things forward for me in both my skill set and my soul set. Yes, that's the one. Like grab onto that, right? Get that outsized ROI. And this is the framework. This is the work. Learning. Humans rarely make decisions based on information. We sometimes make decisions based on emotion. We almost always make decisions based on identity, but we have to have the information. We have to learn first. We have to have some information, some learning to incorporate into the identity. Then we apply it. We've done a lot of application tonight. That's why I'm so focused on calling this a workshop and giving you a workbook and having guided questions and times for you to dig into the meat of this. And then you go out and you integrate. That's your next step. You go out, you integrate, put things on your calendar, make decisions, make this real in your life. And then you refine. The work is never done, not from a place of like, oh, you're never good enough or you're never perfect, from a place of joy, of expansion, of there is always a next level for us as humans. Like, thank God, that's what makes life life. That's what makes it the perpetual growth and presence. So you refine and you come back to the same domain and you dig deeper and you see shades of that domain that you couldn't even see before because you've peeled some layers and you're deeper into the work. And you are different when you approach the work a 2nd time, a 3rd time, a 4th time, because of the iterations and the growth, right? So the work is changing and you are changing too. And there's this dynamic relationship. And that's the process until the alignment becomes your default, until you're not just at the tip of the iceberg. You're feeling the full power of the ALLSET framework. You're feeling that alignment across the 5 domains. They're not just they're not just like interlocked with each other, but they're pushing each other forward, right? You're making huge leaps in your skill set, for example, and then that creates this sense of confidence and ease in your body that pushes your body set forward without you even really having to work on your body set. And then because you have that confidence and that clarity, you feel more truly aligned with your soul set, and you're able to say, this is what I really want. And then you break through the limiting beliefs and the mindset, right? And you see these, they just kind of keep going with each other. They're circles, they're interlocking rings, they're a triangle. No one of the domains is like above or before the others. It's an interlocked relationship with each other. And I hope that's what you felt tonight in our workshop time. If you want to continue this work, I have a program that I absolutely love. The energy that I have tonight is the energy that I have for ALLSET Mastery. It's a system for building alignment across all of these areas of your life. In your skill set, creating results that matter. In your mindset, deciding how you think and how you decide, your decision-making framework. In your heart set, being connected to yourself and to others, being present, being grounded. In your body set, sustaining your energy and your capacity. The mind and the heart live in the body. And then in your soul set, having that sense of clear direction. This is the ALLSET Mastery program. You can learn more about it and join us at allsetmastery.com. I want to tell you a little bit about the experience of the people who are in ALLSET Mastery. This comes from Anna. I just wanted to say I'm so excited for ALLSET coming to center stage. The first few months after joining Freedom and Legacy, that's my year-long flagship program, I basically listened to a majority of those modules with any free time that I had. And I must say that I kept thinking repeatedly about how it was such a fundamental part of my mindset shifts on a daily basis. When I got busy with life and listened less to those, I definitely felt it missing from my life. I'm excited you're bringing it to the spotlight so many people can benefit from it. This is what I mean when I say I've honed this work. And people kept saying, this is it. This is the thing that links it all together. Go out and share this with the world. This is that firsthand experience with it. That's what led to the creation of ALLSET Mastery. I joined this group because I'm interested in personal growth and want to unlock my greatest potential. I want to be very intentional in charting the next phase of my career. Love the word intentional. That's a word you hear from Elaine all the time. The CME credit was just an additional attractive perk. I'll talk a little bit about CME here in a little bit. Jenny says, I find all of my identities as physician, real estate investor, partner, and leader being challenged and rewired. As an empath, oldest daughter, and recovering validation junkie, the concept of ALLSET resonate deeply with me. I'm excited to take a deeper dive into this work on my journey to better know myself and deepen relationships and impact in my life. And then finally, Karen says, I don't want to get to the end of my life and regret that I did not play big. I love that. I want to be in flow and fully aligned in my purpose. I would benefit from some nervous system regulation. I'm excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to having a community of others with a similar calling. So inside of ALLSET Mastery, what you get, what that looks like tactically, is we have 2 live coaching calls every month. They're on the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of the month. So you could choose to join us in ALLSET Mastery tonight. You could sign up in either our monthly plan or our annual plan and pop into our live call that we're hosting tomorrow evening. You can continue with this work that quickly. We have 2 live calls. They're about 60, 75 minutes. Of course, everything is recorded. You get the video replay, you get the audio replay and podcast format. And we keep these tight and action oriented. You see tonight, I am all about execution. Every session is recorded. We love it when you can make it live. We do some breakouts and some other things, but everything is there if you miss a session or you want to revisit it. And then we supplement those 2 live coaching calls per month with a weekly podcast that I record for you. That's the thread that ties everything together. 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes at most. I know your time is precious. I keep it tight, and I leave you with something each week that you can take action on. Sometimes it's just something I want you thinking about. I call it like just bake it in your mind. You don't have to do anything super intentional with this. Just let this cook in your mind and see what comes up over the coming calls. Other times it might be a quick exercise or a worksheet or something to just keep moving the work forward so that you wire that change into your nervous system. You get the whole recorded vault, including 5 guided visualizations, one for each of the domains, a curated community of high achievers. We are very active in a WhatsApp community together. In our live calls, we do breakout sessions so that you can interact with your peers, see and be seen, learn from others, share what you have to offer. The community is an incredibly valuable part of ALLSET Mastery. And then we've also structured it with a lot of flexibility. So we have a monthly membership. You join, you pay monthly, you can leave at any time with no complicated contracts or penalties or anything like that. It gives you a ton of flexibility. Or we have our annual membership, which has a ton of extra perks and is our best value. We also have CME. So for the physicians, nurses, some other health professionals in the room, we offer 12 hours of Category 1 CME through our partnership with Pinnacle. So if you have a hospital system or a clinic that can reimburse you for some things, you might be able to participate in ALLSET, having your hospital completely pay for it, and then knock that off your to-do list to get your CME in a way that grows you both as a professional, but you clearly saw tonight it grows you as a person too, right? First and foremost, I am a believer that who we are as people is how we show up in the world as leaders, not the other way around, right? So this work is like core and fundamental, and then it shows up in all of the areas of your life. So CME is an awesome perk. We were super excited to get approved for CME this year. You get 12 hours of CME Category 1. As part of our special launch here in June, we have some special bonuses that you'll receive if you sign up within the next week. So we have 3 live hot seat coaching calls across the next year if you sign up before June 22nd, before 11 p.m. Central on June 22nd. And those are 3 additional calls in addition to our twice monthly calls that are hot seat calls. That means it's a small group of people and you raise your hand and you tell whatever's on your mind, you ask your coaching question, and then I coach you directly. So it supplements the work in a deeper way, really gets to the core of things for people. So you'll get 3 additional calls throughout the year with those hot seat sessions. Also, one of the bonuses is a virtual ticket to the annual event that we host inside of Black Swan Real Estate. That's called Real Estate Real Life. This is our 5th year. It's exactly what's in the title. We talk about real estate, goal setting. Maybe you have no interest in real estate and you're like, what? ALLSET? I came here for personal growth and mindset and BODYSET. What are you talking about real estate? You probably have some interest in money. You probably have some interest in financial security and wellness. That's what we talk about at Real Estate Real Life. And if real estate is the vehicle to make that happen, great. If not, you can still talk about your financial goals. And then we do some visioning, talking about what it is that you want to create with your financial freedom. Most people don't just want a ton of money in the bank and a big balance sheet. They want the freedom and the life that goes along with it. We have some visualization sessions, a breathwork session. So you'll get a free virtual ticket. You'll join us live virtually September 17th through the 20th. It's not just recordings that you get weeks later. You are there in the room. We can see the Zoom screen from the stage. You can hear everything. We can see your Zoom chat the whole time. You can speak through your microphone and be heard in the room. We make it as much as we can as though you're right there in the room. And then of course, if you wanted to join us live here in person, there's the opportunity for you to upgrade your ticket that way. And then 5 guided visualizations. A visualization is like a meditation, but instead of just going into quiet reflection, you're guided with my voice through specific prompts for each of the domains. So it gets a little deeper into the work. They're about 12 minutes each for each domain, and they're meant to be something that you listen to when you feel like you're ready for a boost in that domain. So maybe you're thinking, I know that I have the next breakthrough in BODYSET. And maybe you're struggling to come up with, what it is. What's the tactical step? What's the next step? What's the concrete action? You go listen to that visualization and it's going to walk you through that. And it's meant to be an iterative process. It's not a one and done. You just do it and then you never listen to it again. It's meant to be something that you return to that's an additional resource for you, in addition to the vault, in addition to the coaching calls, in addition to the private podcast, the community, the WhatsApp group, to have a place for you to tap into your own intuition, to your own expertise, to your own thoughts, in that guided way and move you forward. So these are all special bonuses that we have available as part of our June launch right now. So these typically aren't available if you just signed up on any random day. You'd get access to the coaching calls and the group and all of those things, but you wouldn't get access to these special bonuses. So these are just a way to gift you, even more value. I want to make it so that ALLSET is a no-brainer for you, not just for the growth and the work and the breakthroughs that you'll have, but tangibly give you some things that really maximize your investment in the program. And then we've structured ALLSET to be incredibly accessible. You can join us monthly. Our usual monthly price is $199 per month. And as part of this special launch, we have special launch pricing down to $127 per month. You join at any time, you leave at any time, you can cancel with no penalties. There's no, sophisticated contracts or, opaque, obscure cancellation policies. You just let us know that you're ready to end your membership and you end right then. It is important to note that CME is not included in the monthly plan, but if you want to try out the work, have a couple months to explore, really see what this is all about, see how it can really benefit you, you can join us in that super low risk way with our monthly plan, and then cancel at any time with no penalties. Our annual plan is absolutely our best value. Our usual investment for the annual plan is $199 per year. And as part of our special launch pricing, it's all the way down to $1,297 per year. Really accessible price. When I think about, way back at the beginning when I said, if all of the things in your life, right, your health, your spirituality, your mindset, your faith, your career, your relationships, if you move the needle even just 1% in a couple of those domains and you compound that over decades, that is worth millions of dollars of value. That's like what MasterCard, with the little commercials from the 90s when they would say like, this is priceless or whatever word they would use. Those are the things, right? There's no way to value those things because it's our human life. And what you've seen with the ALLSET framework is we have this 5-domain framework where you're constantly asking yourself what it is that you want, what's the next step to get there, and then we're iterating on it. And you're fully supported and you're coached through it. And by committing to an annual plan, you're saying, self, I am worthy of having a structured time over the next year to dig deep into this work. And then we honor that commitment that you make to yourself with some additional perks in our annual plan. So first, it's our absolute best pricing compared to our monthly plan. It's 2 months free throughout the year. You also get those 12 hours of Category 1 CME, and then you get all of those bonuses that we're offering right now. So I really think of our annual plan as our most powerful, most affordable way to interact with ALLSET. Most of our members in ALLSET are on the annual plan, but if the monthly plan makes sense for you, by all means do it. That's why we created it, is so that however it makes sense for you to be engaged in ALLSET Mastery, you can make that choice. This is what I want for you. This is what I hope you have. You have the workbook. You have more questions to work through. My hope is that you're leaving this workshop, and if we never see each other again, if you don't remember my name, you unsubscribe from our emails, all the things, and we never see each other again, that you have gotten tremendous value, that you've moved toward this life of alignment, a skill set that creates results that matter, a mindset that supports how you think and decide, a heart set that keeps you connected and present, a body set that sustains your energy and capacity, and a soul set that gives you clear direction. And just that you even have the words and the framework to describe this. My hope is that this is life-changing for you. And then my real hope is that you continue this work with us. I've loved getting to interact with you in the chat, getting to know you a little bit in the chat, and I'd love to have the opportunity to continue that work with you in the coming months in our annual program, to not just see what it is that you saw tonight as we went through the guided questions, but really that second question after each of those questions where you see it, and then the next question is, what's the next step? I would love to be your coach and to create that community and that space and the learnings and the identity transformation to help you to create that in the world. I love these calls. I love this community, and I love having the opportunity to invite you into it. You can learn all about that. There's the monthly plan, the annual plan options, super easy. Decide what makes sense for you and join us at allsetmastery.com. The website's allsetmastery.com. You can just click on join us, and then that'll pop you into either the monthly option or the annual option. Choose which one makes sense for you. And if you joined us tonight or by middle of the afternoon tomorrow, you could even join us in our live call that is tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central. Whenever you join, we slot you right in. We get you access to the podcast, access to the group, access to the next call. All of our calls that have ever happened are already recorded, so you're not missing everything. You'll get that full vault whenever it makes sense for you. But if you're feeling moved, if you're feeling inspired right now and you're feeling like, yes, I want to continue this work, go to allsetmastery.com, pop in your information. You'll be all set to join us on our call as soon as tomorrow, which would be super awesome. What a way to, I can't always schedule my workshops and our live calls, in perfect timing like that, but that's the way the schedule has worked out this time. So that'd be super cool for you if you were able to join us. Those 3 bonuses that we shared, those are available through June 22nd. So if you need a little more time to think about it, watch the replay, those sorts of things, just keep that June 22nd date in mind so that you can get access to all of those bonuses. Yes, our calls are on the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of the month at 6 p.m. Central. I think just a little moment ago, I accidentally said 7. That's wrong. 7 was the time for tonight. 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of the month at 6 p.m. Central. We go for about 60, 75 minutes. All of it's recorded. You get both the video replay of the recording and then also the podcast version. Most people listen to the replays in podcast format. That is a wrap. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us live. A whole group of you has stuck all the way to the end, multiple hours together. Thank you for that. If you're listening to the replay, thank you for joining us that way. It's been a pleasure to be with you tonight. Thank you, truly. Thank you guys for allowing me the opportunity to sneak away from the baby a little bit and be with you. Being with her is number one, amazing. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful. Being with you guys is a really, really, really close second. It's been a blast being with you tonight. And really it's because they're kind of the same thing, right? Parenting is seeing human potential and knowing I will dedicate myself to helping this human with their potential and with creating an amazing life. My coaching, the work I do in Freedom and Legacy, the work I do in ALLSET, it's the exact same energy. I crave, my soul set is helping humans maximize their potential, helping humans to see what you are capable of, to believe in yourself, to push you, to inspire you, to show you the path tactically, strategically, from an inspiration perspective. All of that you got to see tonight. Truly, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to do this. Last time I did our ALLSET workshops, I was sick as a dog. My voice was horrible. I was coughing the whole time. So I knew coming into this one, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energetic. I knew it was going to be an amazing night. You guys brought the energy. You were there in chat. It's clear you were doing the work. It's clear you were engaged. You are going to get ROI on that. Thank yourself, right? Anytime we do something for ourselves, we need to thank ourselves because that's how we create the conditions that we want to do more of that in the future. So I'm thanking you for allowing me the opportunity to teach this work tonight. I want you to thank yourself for giving yourself this gift. And I would love for you to continue this work inside of ALLSET Mastery. If that makes sense for you and it's the next step for you, I hope to see you there. Good night, everyone. Allow all of these good thoughts and inspiration and the expansion that came up in your mind and your heart tonight to keep cooking in your mind as you sleep tonight, as you dream over the coming days, over the coming weeks. This is just the start of it. We planted some seeds tonight. You're going to see all sorts of growth and fruit from those seeds. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Bye, everyone. Thank you.